Hi everyone, welcome to the craft studio this morning. I'm Christina from City Bright Knits. Thanks so much for being here. Morning is my favorite time in the craft room. It is so nice just to walk in here when the sun is shining and the disco ball in the corner is just casting light everywhere with my morning cup of coffee. And I'm bringing you along with me today because I'm going to be doing a 100% stash dive into my stash closet, and I want to show you what I'm making. So come on, let's go. Here is my dedicated craft room for all things crochet and garment design, and let me just show you where some things are at so that you can get familiar. I love when I walk in here, I have the disco ball in the corner and it just casts the coolest little light on the ceiling and on the wall. Marmalade loves to sit over here. This is her little area. Say hi, Marms. And so I have this disco ball. I just got it on Amazon, but I think it is so cute, and I've obviously could have like DIY'd this, but I didn't see a video on how to do that until after I already got the disco ball, so that's that. Here's a collection of my clothing for new patterns that I'm doing. You'll see the patchwork cardigan that I just have a full tutorial on how to make that on my YouTube, as well as I sell a lot of my pieces on Etsy. These are some different patterns I have. The peony peplum dress right here is a pattern I have on Etsy. You can find the matching top pattern on Hobbii. And this is my brand new pattern from Hobbii. It is called the Glamour Gown. I named it that because it just has such like sparkle to it. Let me zoom in here. These are just little hand done appliques using Party Deluxe yarn on this dress right here, and it has this full ombre fade. It's so glamorous. That's why it's called the Glamour Gown. You'll see this little forget-me-not dress in the corner. I have a freehand crochet video on how I made that. It's not a tutorial, but I do have a tutorial on the granny squares if you're interested. So this is where I have my garment collection. Over here on these shelves are something that I've honestly had for like ages. I've had them since I was a very little girl, and they've just kind of made all the moves with me. So here they are being used. I have it organized into a bunch of different yarn scraps up here, just tiny little balls that I intend to use someday. Some artwork that I've done throughout the years. That's a picture of Greece. And some new yarns that I've gotten in. I actually love this yarn right now. It's like a new acrylic, and I plan to make a sewing machine cover with that. Here's the Party Deluxe yarn. That's that shiny sequined yarn that I got from Hobbii that I used for the Glamour Gown pattern. So if you're interested in doing sparkle with something, that's a great pattern for you to try. A couple blankets that I made and some ongoing whips. These are things that I've made already, for instance, granny squares, and I just keep them in bags so that I know where to get them for later. But that's that. Like, let me show you where we're actually going today. That's the sewing machine, but here's where it is. Before I take you inside the closet, let me back up, give you the project that I'm working on, a little inspiration for it, and the yarn that I'm going to be using that we need to keep in mind when selecting our yarns today. I'm doing a complete new project today. I have this idea in mind with this new yarn that I've just gotten to make a scrappy crochet dress. This dress is going to be for summer. It's going to be using a whole bunch of different yarn materials like cotton, acrylic, and the most exciting yarn that I've gotten in a while is actually this Soft Lash from Hobbii yarn. Can you just look at how fuzzy it is? I've gotten a selection of different colors here. I can't wait to use them. Maybe a crew neck with a bunch of different stripes and intermixing this fuzzy eyelash yarn with it. So that's what I want to do today, and I figured why not have you join me? So let's get into my stash. Here's the messy part. Here's where I have everything. It's just a bunch of yarn and bags, and it's a closet, and it's messy, but that's what scrap yarn's all about, am I right? So here's where we're going today. We're diving, we're fishing out, we're getting something to make that dress. So what do you have your eye on? Okay, here's where I keep most of my scrap yarns. There is a rhyme or reason to this mess. I'm sure you can relate, but all of my yarns that I've had previously on hand that aren't anything new, I have kind of sorted my color family into these plastic bags. So you can see I have all my kind of red, pinks, and oranges in this one, and they're a mix of like hand-dyed merino and just basic acrylic and craft store cotton and some kind of like plushy yarn. So it's all a mix of different things, but I've sorted them by color family. So that's what I'm grabbing for today. This one's kind of like reds and oranges. I think I'll definitely set that aside for summer. And this one has some like purples. I could probably use that, but a lot of what's in here is maybe like a little heavy weighted, but let's keep it out just in case. And let's see what else we have. Grays, I could see like a gray working in just amongst all the colors that I'm thinking. We'll leave that one for next. These are loose. Then I obviously have pinks, whites, creams. Probably won't use this one. We'll set that one aside. This one's whites. I think I'll definitely put some whites in there. How about, what do you think? Yeah, I think some whites. We have pink, purples, oranges, reds, whites. This is Hobbii cotton silk. This is like its own thing, and because I have enough of it, I might save it for another project versus using it for scrap yarn. This one's some pretty pinks, actually. I think a lot of the pinks in this bag is the sweater that I'm wearing, so it's always nice to see your yarn stash wearable. So I can definitely pull some from here, but there's not that much of it, so I might not have enough for a dress. That's blanket yarn. This is definitely usable. This is just like basic craft store acrylic pink. Let's keep this one out. Okay, my microphone thing has fallen off and the cat is all about it. If you have a cat, you know you can't get anything past her. So let me wrangle that from her real quick. Okay, and what am I searching for as I do this? I'm searching for all of my stash yarns that aren't gonna be so heavy like blanket yarn and things that are color forward. So actually I have this cool hipster yarn from Premier Yarns. It's already like, has this fade dye in it. I think that could be like 100% spot on for what I'm going for. I also have a whole stash of like just random colored cottons, and I'm using that eyelash yarn, don't forget. But I think cotton could be something that's nice for like every few rows, and then mixing acrylic in it for more of that like sturdy structure. So I might definitely keep some cottons out. I'm probably not thinking so much pastel colors, so I might keep the pastels for later. Then I have a bunch of yarns like this that are yarns that I bought, like for instance this wool and gang denim, but I don't know that I will use it for this because I have so many balls. I can save that for like an individual on purpose project later. So I'm really just stash diving for what I have, like little bits here and there that's going to be perfect for a scrappy dress that isn't going to be like using yarn that I could have used for a whole project later. So that's what I'm pulling out today. Okay, so you guys, we've done a really good sort, and I will say some of this might need some paring down. There's no way I'm going to use it all. So keeping in mind that I'm going to be using this eyelash like yarn that's super fuzzy and so fun, I'm just going to be doing a few rows of this yarn. So I want to primarily use a different yarn for the body of it. And this yarn is actually like a super fine weight, even though it's fuzzy, so we'll only get a few rows out of that one. So I think I'm definitely going to keep aside some pinks. I mean, if you know me, I love pink. I think this bag of bright colored acrylics caught my eye, so I could definitely see those mixed in there. And then I'm really feeling red. Like I'm feeling like reds are going to be the way to go for me. I'm not feeling this one so much, and I'm not feeling this one so much, although I think a band of dark purple could be okay. So I might just pull out like one dark purple from that one. Definitely need some whites. If you're doing a scrap yarn project, one tip that I like to do is actually to add some like brighter whites or neutrals to your scrap yarn project. This really helps like liven up the colors from like getting too muddy and lost. So white is like your best friend if you love color, as backwards as that is. So definitely keeping out the whites, and I'm definitely keeping out this hipster. So when it comes to hook size, I really just keep all of my hooks in this one bag so that I know where everything is at. And I'm just gonna grab a few of different ones and kind of do, not necessarily a swatch, but just work a few stitches with the yarns and see how I like it working. Because I'm using scrap yarn, so they're all different weights and materials, sometimes I like to go like up a hook size versus a hook size that's too small. That way when you get to the next yarn, if it happens to be bigger, it just has more it flows more easily. So I definitely choose a larger hook size when I'm doing scrap yarn projects, and I don't discriminate. I don't say like, oh, I love to use a 5.5 millimeter and only use that. I just kind of like see where the yarn takes me and what the feel of it is. So now that I've done the stash dive, let's see what colors that I've ended up choosing and show you a little sample of what I've been making. So I have mainly acrylics here and a couple cottons. If you can tell, this is a cotton and these are acrylics. And I have them mainly sorted into colors, so like pinks and warm colors, then cooler colors, and then what I'm calling neutrals. So these are actually going to be all the neutrals that I use to offset all of the color. And I have different colored whites here because when you're using a lot of color, it's really nice to kind of combat that with two different whites. So even though it's like the absence of color, it plays off itself to like bring in an element of color, even though it's neutral, if that makes sense. But let me show you what I've been making, keeping in mind that I'm going to be using this Soft Lash yarn. You can see I've already started using it here. And let me show you a little swatch of what I'm making. Here's the scrappy project. I fast forwarded a little bit and went ahead and started it. It's going to be a halter dress. So this is the top and it just is an easy 2 stitches worked on either side for an increase. And as you can see, I'm doing stripes. Here's the different neutrals that I'm talking about here. The different bright whites and creams. You can actually see there's 2 creams worked here that are different colors. And that is actually this one and then the cotton. So this is cotton and this is an acrylic, but you can see how they look together. And then I've intermixed this eyelash yarn, which is called Soft Lash from Hobbii, to be like every 3rd or 4th row of color. I am holding 2 strands together for an eyelash row. I tried holding the eyelash row together with an acrylic, but it really doesn't do the color justice. So I'm holding two strands of the lash yarn together to get these different stripes. So I'm at the point where I'm going to add my next color. And I think I'm really going to choose red. I think I'm going to be adding the red as my next color row on this. It really pops against the white. And what I'm doing is just going every 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows of color to build my stripes in the fuzzy Soft Lash yarn. And so far I've really chosen kind of these oranges and blues, but I did start out with pink. So if I hold it up against a neutral background, you can see where I'm going with this. I'm just gonna add colors as I go and using all these scrap yarn colors that you've helped me choose today. I've also created a back piece, which is just the mirror image of it. I am using less eyelash yarn on the back piece. I've used a few rows here, but for every row that I'm doing on the front row, I'm doing every other row on the back side, just as a way to kind of save the novelty yarn, because you don't necessarily need it on the back as much as you do the front. So that's what I'm working on. If I hold it up to the mannequin, who's already wearing something else, and really I should have pins for this, but you can see this is how it's going to look on the form. So it's just gonna be like a halter shape and come this way to just be a dress. So this is the scrappy project that I'm working on. Thanks so much for helping me choose these colors. I think it's really gonna be great for summer and late spring, and I'm gonna pop on in stories and show you all the updates. Thanks for watching, come again.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little notification bell for more. Big thank you to Hobbii for sponsoring today's video and letting me try out this yarn. While this video is sponsored, all opinions are 100% my own, and I'm sharing honest thoughts and reviews in this video.